Lesson number 1.1. What is science? Science is an organized way of gathering and analyzing evidence about the natural world. It's a way of observing, a way of thinking, and a way of knowing about the world. In other words, science is a process, not a thing. The word science also refers to the body of knowledge that scientific studies have gathered over the years. But what are the goals of science? One goal of science is to provide natural explanations for events in the natural world. Science also aims to use those explanations to understand patterns in nature and to make useful predictions about natural events. What procedures are at the core of scientific methodology? Scientific methodology involves observing and asking questions, making inferences and forming hypotheses, conducting controlled experiments, collecting and analyzing data, and drawing conclusions. Scientific investigations begin with observation, the act of noticing and describing events or process in a careful, orderly way. After posing questions, scientists use further observations to make inferences. An inference is a logical interpretation based on what scientists already know. Inference combined with a creative imagination can lead to a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a scientific explanation for a set of observations that can be tested in ways that support or reject it. Testing a scientific hypothesis often involves designing an experiment that keeps track of various factors that can change or variables. This type of experiment is called a control experiment. There are two types of controlling variables. The variable that is deliberately changed is called the independent variable. The variable that is observed and that changes in response to the independent variable is called the dependent variable. An experiment is divided into control and experimental groups. A control group is exposed to the same conditions as the experimental group, except for the one independent variable. Scientists make detailed records of experimental observations, gathering information called data. Scientists use experimental data as evidence to support, refute, or revise the hypothesis being tested and to draw a valid conclusion. What scientific attitudes help generate new ideas? Curiosity, skepticism, open-mindedness, and creativity help scientists generate new ideas. Why is peer review important? Publishing peer-reviewed articles in scientific journals allow researchers to share ideas and to test and evaluate each other's work. What is a scientific theory? In science, the word theory applies to a well-tested explanation that unifies a broad range of observations and hypotheses and that enables scientists to make accurate predictions about new situations. What is the relationship between science and society? Using science involves understanding its context in society and its limitations. The way that science is applied in society can be affected by bias. A bias is a practical preference or point of view that is personal rather than scientific. What characteristics do all living things share? Living things are made of basic units called cells, are based on a universal genetic code, obtain and use materials and energy, grow and develop, reproduce, respond to their environment, maintain a stable internal environment, and change over time. Biology is the study of life. In conclusion, I think that the scientific method helps us to understand better relationships with biology, such as characteristics of living things and how science is related with society.